Right, in today's spiced rum review, helping you on your quest to find your perfect go-to spiced rum. This is a brand new one to me. I'd never heard of it until these guys, Brian and Mark, thank you so much. They slid into my DMs and went, hey Steve, love your videos. Do you mind if we send a bottle of our spiced rum down to you? And of course, me being me with spiced rum, so I was like, yeah, go for it. Let's have a little taste, see what it tastes like. So, as you kind of regular spiced rum fans will kind of know, I filmed the cocktail back to front, so I've already done the cocktail. Haven't tasted it yet. I'm hoping that I've picked an absolute banger to go with the cocktail because I haven't tasted the spiced rum yet. I like to do that all there, but for filming wise, it's so much easier for me to do the cocktails first. So I kind of batch film the cocktail. So the cocktail coming up, and I've kind of stuck to Don the Peachcomber, so I'm going to use him for going forward because he's got awesome tiki cocktails. This is actually a Jaspers Jamaican, so I'm going to show you how to make that at the end, and I'm hoping, from what I've read about the spiced rum, this cocktail should work a treat. Right, so let's tell you a bit about Dark God. They've sent me through some kind of POS or marketing blurb, as you like. I'm going to kind of read this out for you because I think it's quite good. So, Legendary Distillers, that's the company, that's what they've called themselves. It's a small Scottish company formed by two friends, Brian and Mark, with the sole purpose of developing a unique rum of exceptional quality. Developed over a 3-year period, Dark God is our flagship product. We feel that this is the cool, intriguing bit. We feel that the market needs something fresh, impactful, and different that steers away from the stereotypical image of sailors, bats, and sea monsters. Dark God Premium Spice looks different, and most importantly, tastes different. So that kind of got me, and I was like, oh, okay. Because if you think back, and we're going back a year now, if you think back to my Dark Matters and Brewdog 500 cuts. 500? Yeah, 500 cuts. The Scottish guys, they are very different to kind of what we get down here in England. And I'm going to read this out as well. The taste, Dark God Premium Spiced is a rounded, dark and decadent rum with elements of fire, smoke and spice. Care has been taken to avoid the traditional flavours like vanilla, cloves, syrupy sweetness. So that's quite interesting. So with no vanilla, this is going to taste pretty different. I mean, hopefully pretty different. Incredibly smooth, yet with a satisfying kick. Dark God is impressive in a cocktail or a long drink as sipped over ice. Quick bit of facts for you. I like this. 100% distilled in Scotland. So it's not imported rum and then spiced up like a lot of the spiced rums we get over here from the Caribbean. This is 100% distilled in Scotland. Long fermentation, double pot stilled, 40% ABV, and it says handcraft small batch production. I think somewhere this is bottle number 612. Let's get that in the close up of batch number 1. And like all spiced rums, there is a bit of marketing blurb on the side just before I dive in and taste him. Lord of all supernatural beings is the legendary Dark God. His ancient spirit is distilled in a tempest of heat, smoke, flame, and pure Scottish water. Right then, the aroma and the taste. This is really intriguing. I'm struggling to pick out spices and flavours in here. Also, I would say I don't get much smokiness, and that might be just me. And I'm very adverse to smoky. I don't like smoky whiskies. I don't really like smoky bourbons or anything like that. I don't like smoky stuff. But I'm not picking up smoke at all in here. I do get, when I taste it, I do get a lot of spice, peppery spice. I do want to say sort of cinnamon in there, maybe nutmeg. But I'm really struggling to pick out the actual kind of flavours in there. The one thing I will say, there is absolutely zero ethanol burn. It has got a very slight sweetness to the finish on it. Would I compare it to the other Scottish things like Dark Matters and 500 cuts? No, not even remotely. And I wasn't a big fan of those, not even remotely close to those. It's not clove heavy, it's not big cinnamon heavy or anything like that. It's very well balanced. So I actually do like that neat. And I've actually just added an ice cube just to kind of open it out a bit, see if I get, and I don't actually get anything else. So for me, it's very spice forward. Personally, I wouldn't say the best spiced rum I've had neat, but I can't false it. So I'm actually going to, for those of you that kind of like the peppery kind of spice, I think you're going to love it. So I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 to Sipney. Well, in tasting, let's see how Dark God gets on as simple spirit and mixes. I've already been through these and scored them. I'm just going to kind of taste them again after a few minutes, probably about 5 minutes later, and see whether I agree with myself. So the first one is Coke. And I'm going to agree what I put down as 7 out of 10. There's nothing wrong with it. Doesn't set my world on fire. The spices for me don't come through with the Coke. It's just like a rum and Coke for me. So yeah, it's 7 out of 10. Next one I'm going to do is the ginger ale. For me, this is where the rum actually shines. I've given it an 8 out of 10. It's not the best spiced rum and ginger ale I've had, but it's very, very close. It's a high 8. Someone says you should give 8.5s. I'm not going to get into the whole 0.5 things in a moment. I don't know. The scoring's going all over the shop, innit? But I'm going to agree with myself. That's an 8 out of 10. Next up is the ginger beer. That is everything I want from a ginger beer. Rum and ginger beer, 9 out of 10. I really do like that. Quite happily drink that. And going, and without spoiling the surprise that's coming, that is hands down my favourite out of all these. So next up is Sprite. Does nothing really for me. It's not unpleasant, it just does nothing for me. I've given it a 6. I'm going to stick with a 6 out of 10 for that. Next up is Ting. I wasn't a fan the first time round. I'm not a fan the second time. I've given it a 5 out of 10. Should I be harsher? Should I go down to the 4s and the 3s? It's really, really tough. I might have to go back and like rank them all again. That could be a project for like midsummer. But at the moment, I'm going to stick with a 5 out of 10 for that. Next up, tropical soda. Again, does nothing really for me. The fruit of that, and because it's a drier tropical soda without the sugar, it is really fighting against it. I've actually given that, I gave it a 6 the first time round. I'm going to come back and I'm going to actually knock it down because I can't split it between this Sprite. So I'm going for a 5 out of the flip between the tings, sorry. So I can't split it there. But what I'm going to do going forward, because I do like this, instead of me getting the tropical soda out, this isn't part of the official scores, but just a tiny, tiny little bit of sugar, literally like 2.5 mil, if that. Tiny bit. Where's my spoon? Tiny bit of sugar in there to kind of replicate the sweeter sort of tropical sodas or pineapple soda. See again. It just automatically brings out. I think the pineapple, the old Jamaica pineapple soda that you can get in supermarkets, and anything like Tango Tropical maybe, I think, see, that would score me like easily an 8. I really do like that. But the tropical soda in itself, 5. And then last up is the coconut water. I've had some absolute bangers in previous weeks with coconut water. For me, that's along the Ting and the Fenceman's. I've given it a 5. There's something in that doesn't play well. I think you kind of need a bit of sweetness in there to kind of bring the flavours out a little bit more. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with a 5 for that. Well, then the 2 important tests for me, this is what I look forward to in all these spiced rums, because I like how I drink my spiced rums, which is sort of like daiquiris or punches, very simple punches. Just to talk you through, they're kind of sort of reverse. So we're going for a standard 2-1/2 daiquiri, 2 parts rum, 1 part citrus, 1/2 part sweetener is Demerara sugar. Then the rum punch is flipped, so we go the 1, 2, 3, 4 method. So 1 part citrus, and then I go equal orgeat and honey, and then booze and water. So it's like a typical old school rum punch. How I like my rum punches. So again, so we're going for the daiquiri. Not the best daiquiri I've had, but definitely not the worst daiquiri I've had. I've scored it an 8. I really do like that. It kind of, the rum sort of comes out to me. Again, I really do. If you're, look, drinking this rum, and the ice cube is melted in here now, but, so the water's opened it out a little bit. Like I do struggle to pick out the spices. It doesn't, the water, the extra little bit of dilution hasn't really brought it out to life. So, in that sense, I don't know what mixers, how they kind of emphasise. I think I've read it somewhere. So looking at their marketing, they've kind of gone for an impressive cocktail or long drink, or as it is sipped over ice. So sipped over ice, me personally, no. But let's come on to the whole cocktail thing. So the daiquiri, I'm going to stick with that. I've given it an 8. I'm going to stick with it. The rum punch, I really do like that as a rum punch. Not the best rum punch I've had, but again, as good as, and if not, well, I wouldn't say it's better than someone, but as good as. I've given it an 8. I'm going to stick with an 8. I haven't tried the cocktail yet, and it's still nice and chilled. The cocktail I did is a Jaspers Jamaican, so I added a bit of pimento, and it's coming up right in a second. That is a stunning cocktail. It's a Jaspers Jamaican. It's a kind of daiquiri with an extra bit of pimento dram that's coming up in a second. So I'll show you how to score that. I do like that as a daiquiri. I don't want to be harsh. It's not harsh. It's not my favourite spiced rum. It does the job very, very well. It's a very different spiced rum. Altogether, scores have come in at 75 out of 110. And I think that's a fair assessment. Drinking it neat, bearing in mind there's just one ice cube in there that's kind of diluted. The only thing I will say that probably that little bit of dilution has probably brought out a tiny bit of smokiness, but not that much in the grand scheme of things. So, look, you've got the peppery hints in there. You've got it's you know, if you're not a huge fan of like vanilla and all those sort of things, but you like your rums, I think this is definitely one to check out because it's not your classical in your sense that. But if you're a fan of those kind of vanilla forward spiced rums, those traditionals, I don't think that's going to be for you. So let's dive in and show you how to make the cocktail. Right then, cocktail time for this. As you are kind of aware, I do film these back to front. So without tasting this rum, I thought the obvious kind of cocktail to go for would actually be the newy for this one, for this spiced rum. However, as I've already done that, I forget which video it was now, but as I've already done that, I've gone for another kind of famous tiki one. This has come out of Beachbum's Revisited, I think, out of his book. This is the Jaspers Jamaican. So it's a very, very simple daiquiri riff. But I think the basically the ingredient wise, the addition of the pimento, I think from what I've read with that, if it's true to form, I think this pimento should work quite well in that. So ingredients, obviously I've got Dark God, the spiced rum, I've got Bitter Truth pimento dram, I've got some lime juice, and I've got some sugar. So very simple, short shaken daiquiri. You don't need to blend this, it's just served up. I've just slightly adjusted the measurements up because I think it would have gone in a smaller glass, but I'm going to serve this up in a Nick and Nora. So the first ingredient is the Dark God. As I say, obviously I do this before the tasting, so I'm going 45 ml, and I'm not going to smell it. I want to be there for the tasting. So 45 ml, 1.5 ounces of the Dark God spiced rum. The next ingredient I'm going for is my pimento dram. Love this sort of stuff. Really kind of vibrant spice. Pepper notes in there. 15 ml, 1/2 ounce of this. Oh, the spices coming off the nose there. Next ingredient is just some freshly squeezed lime juice. And this is 15 ml, so slightly less lime juice than in a normal daiquiri. So I'm going for 15 ml. And then the final ingredient is just some sugar syrup, and this is just 10 ml going in here. So 10 ml of that. You could use Demerara if you wanted to. So now we're just going to ice it up and shake the hell out of it for a good 10 to 12 seconds. Proper welly. Right, and when you are out of breath, and it's nice and chilled, I'm just going to serve this up in my little Nick and Nora glass. Just going to double strain. Colour of that. There we go. And just a very simple garnish, if I've chopped it the right way. Yeah, there we go. Just got a lime edge. So if you want even more spiced rum reviews, dive into a video or a playlist right there. As always, if you like the video, big old thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss any more spiced rum reviews, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel.